Hi, I'm Matt Williams, and I'm the International Trainer for the Fax and Document Distribution Group at OpenText. In the last few years, we've seen the level of interest in fax over IP increase tremendously. Thankfully, we've had a great collection of partners who build and configure those gateways for us. But some of our customers still had a hard time getting started with fax over IP. Now, OpenText is offering its own line of fax gateways that are specially designed to be as easy as possible to use with our fax server, yet powerful enough for even the most demanding customers. There are several models available depending on the number and type of lines you're using, and all of them are configured in roughly the same way. This short video is going to focus on sending and receiving faxes with the OpenText Fax Gateway 308. The 308 includes 8 FXO ports, allowing up to 8 analog lines from your phone company to be connected to your fax server environment. To get started, you need to make sure the IP address of the gateway is set to something you can access from your network. An easy way to do that is to use a bootp server, or you could create a temporary network on the same subnet as the gateway when you first power it up. Then, you can use the built-in web management interface to change the IP address to something more relevant for you. If you go the bootp route, you'll probably need a MAC address, which can be found on the bottom of the gateway. I've already changed my IP address to 10.9.8.254, which is on the same subnet as my fax server. Now, I can connect power, Ethernet, and my phone line and start configuring my gateway. I'm going to configure this from the same machine that hosts my fax server, but since we're using a web-based management tool, you could be doing this from any machine on your network. First, open the IP address in your web browser. Enter the default username and password, which happens to be admin. The first thing you'll probably want to change is that password, which you can do from the full menu in Web User Accounts under Security Settings. Now, there are 3 things I need to do to get everything working. First, I have to define phone numbers for each of my 8 FXO ports. Then, I have to tell the gateway where to route fax calls that come in from the phone lines. Finally, I need to tell it which ports to use to send outgoing faxes. But when you look at the hierarchy of options here on the left, you'll see that there are thousands of options you could potentially change. I like to think of this just as I do a fax server. To get the simplest configuration of a fax server working, it just takes a few minutes with minimal product knowledge. But to take full advantage of all of its capabilities might require a more complete understanding of fax over IP and implementation on the OpenText gateways. In this example, I'm going with the very simple option. As I mentioned, the first thing I need to do is define the phone numbers for the FXO ports. I do that under Protocol Configuration, Endpoint Number, Endpoint Phone Number. I'll enter 1 for my channel, 1001 for my phone number, and 0 for both Hunt Group ID and Profile ID. This sets port 1 to use the phone number 1001. Actually, I want my phone numbers to be 1001, 1002, 1003, all the way up to 1008 for my 8 ports. To get that, I'll need to change the channels box to 1-8, and it will automatically add 1 to each number to get my desired config. Now, I need to tell the gateway how to route incoming calls to the fax server. That can be found under Routing Tables, then Tell to IP Routing. Here I could define different destinations depending on what number was dialed, but I want all calls to be routed to my fax server. So I'm just going to enter an asterisk for both source and destination phone prefixes, and then enter the IP address of my fax server. That happens to be 10.9.8.2. Clicking on Submit saves those changes. Finally, I need to tell the gateway how to route outgoing calls from my fax server. That can be found just below the tilde IP in IP to trunk group routing. I'll just enter a bunch of asterisks to say route everything no matter what. It's now going to use each available FXO port for each outgoing fax call. And, well, that's it. I now have a fully functioning fax gateway that's going to work with my fax server. Now to test this out, I just need to send a fax. Before this video started, I had configured my Dialogic SR140 to connect to my fax gateway. So all I have to do is send a normal fax. I'm going to send my test fax to 1002. And there it goes. If I switch over to the homepage of my fax gateway, I'll see the light for that port turn green. And that's it. I've just sent a fax. Receiving a fax looks just like receiving a fax the normal way. Now, obviously, I could have made a few other tweaks to make my gateway a lot more capable. I might want to configure redundancy with multiple gateways, define different fax servers to use depending on the phone number dialed, manipulate the digits dialed, or lots of different options for debugging and tracing calls. For help with all of those functions, contact your OpenText partner, and I'm sure they'd love to help you out. Or come and join us for one of our training sessions in the US or all over the world. I'm Matt Williams, and I'm the International Trainer for the OpenText Fax and Document Distribution Group. I hope you found this video useful. For more information, visit us on the web at faxsolutions.opentext.com. Also, check out faxlearning.wordpress.com. And to suggest an idea for another video just like this, contact me on Twitter, where I go by the name Technoevangelist. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.